Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode ever of Binging with Brandon. Every week, I'm going to be sitting down with some special guests. We're going to watch a movie, and we're going to also have a meal that somehow ties into the movie. So, we have two special guests here with us today. I have my friend Kirsten. Kirsten, tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Hi guys, first of all, my name is Kirsten. I am a behavioral interventionist, a BI. I work with children in and out of their home, go into their home, children with developmental issues or behavioral issues, usually older kids, and I help them with BMOD, which is behavioral modification, and anger issues and situations that happen with the families to help progress them forward. Sometimes I go into the school, sometimes I go into the home. It depends on the situation, but that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm working on my master's in marriage and family therapy because the girl want to be an LMFT.
Awesome. So that's Kirsten. And we also have Chavice. Chavice, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, it's not much to tell. I'm a teacher. I teach English and I teach middle school. What else? That's pretty much it. I'm in school right now for my doctoral degree in educational leadership with an emphasis in curriculum and assessments and getting ready to go into my my pre-dissertation classes that'll take me into September. So that's pretty much all I'm doing right now. And cutting tofu is actually what I'm doing right now.
So, and these are two of the closest people in my life right now. So I really appreciate them being here and joining me.
Your boyfriend?
Well, yeah, So Chavis is my partner for life. We've established this. We've been together for a few years. But a little bit about myself too. I like to watch movies and I like to watch TV shows. I mean, I don't have the accolades that these two have, but I am a connoisseur of entertainment and pop culture, and I do run a pop culture blog. It's called Vinyl Rhythm, where I talk about upcoming album releases and upcoming music stars potentially. So you can find me there at vinylrhythm.net and also vinyl.rhythm on Instagram and Twitter. But we're still cooking right now, and we're going to get into the movie soon. So today we are trying our hand at tofu. I've never personally cooked it. Have you cooked it?
I've never cooked it. I've eaten it several times.
So you have eaten it before, but not cooked it. Okay. So what is this recipe calling for?
Okay, so it's Asian infused. So we've got like sweet chili oil, avocados, lime. That kind of sounds like a different type of flavor palette. But we've got the chili oil, we've got the sriracha, we've got sesame oil, roasted sesame oil, sesame seeds. We've got cucumber, cilantro, and soy sauce, ginger, garlic. So all like very Asian infused stuff.
Okay, so what is the meal going to be?
So the meal is going to be crispy tofu.
Crispy tofu.
That's what they call it, crispy tofu. And so I guess pretty much if you could think of like a almost like sesame chicken that you get from the Chinese place.
Okay.
Something kind of like that because it's going to be crispy as fried.
Okay.
We're going to also use cornstarch.
So what are we having with the tofu?
With the tofu, we're going to do some white rice, maybe some fried rice if we have time. And I don't know.
The avocado.
The avocados,
cucumber
avocado
salad.
Cucumber salad, and
Okay.
then the tofu. But we're gonna also infuse some shrimp with the sweet chili oil.
Okay, so have like an alternative to the tofu, just in case.
I think I'm gonna put them together.
I've never had it, so
You want to do?
I'm gonna have you can do the flavors the same, but just in case I don't like tofu, I'm still able to eat something tonight. I am hungry.
If you want, babe, If you want them together, we'll do them together. If you want them separate, we'll do them separate.
We'll do the same flavor. You can eat them however you want to eat them. Okay, but we're not just doing food, right? So
we're gonna have a little margarita, and I'm gonna go ahead and crack that open now.
Okay, so we're gonna have a drink, and we're gonna come back when the food is all prepared.
Let's do a shot.
Let's do a shot.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So today we are watching But I'm a Cheerleader. Have either of you guys seen this movie? No? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen anything.
Okay, so I have not seen the movie either. So this is going to be a first time for pretty much all of us watching this one. And also a first time with tofu, if I'm not mistaken.
It's my first time.
My first time?
I've had it.
You've had it. Have you cooked it?
No.
But you're cooking it today,
Yeah,
right?
I am.
Okay, so hopefully this turns out good because he's never cooked it before. So I'm going to give a brief description of the movie for people who have not had a chance to watch it yet. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you go check it out. There are going to be spoilers in this podcast. But I'm a Cheerleader is about an American satirical teen romantic comedy filmed and directed by Jamie Babbitt in their feature directorial debut. It stars Natasha Lyonne as Megan Bloomfield, a high school cheerleader whose parents send her to a inpatient conversion therapy camp to cure her lesbianism. Although they send her there to cure it, while she's there, she actually, comes to terms with the fact that she actually is a lesbian.
Wow.
So yeah, you put a bunch of gay people in a room, they're gonna be gay.
Something's gonna happen.
So it's bound to happen. But it stars people like Natasha Lyonne, who is in Poker Face, newly on Peacock. She's also in Russian Doll on Netflix, and Orange is the New Black. Very popular, very talented actress. It also stars Melanie Linsky, and she is in shows like Showtime's newest show, Yellow Jackets. And we also have RuPaul on this one. So plenty of supporting actors on this show. So we have not watched it. We are still very invested in seeing what happens, and we're excited to talk to you guys about it. All right, y'all. So we just had the dinner, and we just watched But I'm a Cheerleader for the first time. So let's get into the food. So it was mine and Kirsten's first time trying tofu. Chavice, you've had it before.
Yes.
Was this time better or worse than the last time you had it?
So it was worse. The reason why it was worse was I've never cooked it. I've only eaten it. So I didn't know that when you're actually cooking it, that it's so absorbent of all the flavors. Too much soy, was a little salty. But I mean, it was a good taste other than that. And it got a char on it. And I didn't know that tofu could char like that.
You did put it in a batter first.
Yeah. I mean, I will agree. It was slightly salty, so we'll have to go less heavy-handed on the soy and the seasoning, since it does absorb so much. But I thought, like texture-wise, I was down. I was cool with tofu. I could do that probably again through another meal. So does anybody know the reason we chose tofu as the center of the dish today?
Is it because she's a vegetarian?
Yeah, she's a vegetarian, and one of the reasons that everybody thinks that she's a lesbian at the beginning of the movie is because she likes tofu and she's a vegetarian. So that was really the only food tie-in that I could find in this movie. So that's why we went with that. Everything else about the meal I thought was delicious. Like the avocado salad, that was great.
Yeah.
Did y'all like that?
I like the shrimp. The shrimp was spicy but good.
Okay, the shrimp was spot on. That flavor was
It was like straight out of like Asian cuisine.
Yeah, I could have like had more of that shrimp. That was so good. So let's get into this movie because like I said, it's the first time any of us have seen it. This movie came out in 2000, so we're 23 years late to this cult classic.
Oh,
let's talk about it.
So I'll start. The first thing is the differences in the time. So the definition of vegetarian, first of all, I know we're done with the dinner part, but the definition of vegetarian, as well as the identifiers for being a lesbian, I thought those was crazy. I was like, what? Because she doesn't like meat, she's a lesbian? That is crazy.
Well, I mean, when you say it like that, it kind of makes sense. She don't like meat.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Look, I didn't know it was going to be that type of podcast. Let me go ahead and get another sip of my margarita.
No, I found it to be quite ironic. She is going through life and she's chilling, and it's obvious at the beginning of the movie that she's dating this man, this boyfriend, and this big macho person, and then as she's kissing him, she's clearly not cool with it, but she's kind of like, well, I think this is what I'm supposed to feel. And then her parents send her away to gay camp, and it doesn't register with her until she gets there, and then she's like, well, this is who I am now. And I'm thinking they sent her there to pray away the gay, but she ends up being...
It does the exact
opposite.
Yeah. So, and let's go back to the kiss a little bit, because I put that down as one of my main, like, first topics to talk about. That kiss was so awkward.
So awkward. So
go ahead, talk about it.
So the kiss, he was all into it, and you could tell she obviously was not into it. She was just like, the only thing I can think of was like a dead fish. Like, she was sitting there like a dead fish, and he was going to town, and she was just like sitting there with her mouth open, just looking crazy, you know. But I'm
sorry, but if I kiss someone and that's what they do, then I would know that. Sorry, but this kiss is not real. I think he fit into the stereotypical meathead jock.
Yeah, dumb jock stereotype.
Satire. Yeah.
So the whole point of her not being a lesbian, or not knowing that she's a lesbian, do y'all feel like that's realistic of people? Do you feel like you can? Because the way they presented it is she had no idea. There was she had no clue. It was foreign language, or foreign to her to even believe that she could be a lesbian.
At that particular time, yeah.
In that time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When was that movie?
2000. It came out in 2000.
Absolutely. I think I was in the 10th grade. I'm aging myself. I was in 10th grade, and it is very possible at that time. Now, there's too much information. We have social media. A lot has changed since 2000, and there's so much accessible information to younger generations. And I think she was high school age?
Yeah, she was in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very possible for her to have been a full-blooded lesbian and not know.
Remember in the locker she had like pictures of, it was a picture of a woman or something in there.
Yes.
And everybody was like, shouldn't you have like a poster of a guy or something, And that was an indicator. So, I mean, I think maybe she was not putting the clues together. Mm-mm. But she did, you remember the fantasy scene. She would fantasize about, because she was a cheerleader, being under the girls. Underneath their skirts and stuff. So it's like she knew, but maybe she was in denial, and the way they presented it was like she didn't know. But I think she really did know.
She didn't see it as sexual. I don't think.
Yeah, it was just, and maybe it was just foreign at that time to think like, I'm gonna say like maybe she just didn't put two and two together. And like you said, I do believe that exposure does make a difference, because, which is, I mean, if we want to talk about it, we're talking about it, which is why everyone is always in this climate is like, ban the books, and because they don't want people to be exposed. The less likely you are to be exposed, the less likely you are to come to terms with things and see representation of yourself in media and stuff like that. Well,
what would you rather? I mean, I know that's veering. I don't want to veer off from where we are, but like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a child or a young person high school age or otherwise, that has come to terms with who they are, healthy in the mind and in the body, or would you rather have a younger person that's confused and wondering and all of that? Would you rather have someone like that? You get what I'm saying? That's where I'm at. What would you rather have?
Yeah,
And,
no, I agree. I,
you
I
know,
would rather have a healthy, happy child who is confident in who they are. Just speaking from experience, I would have rather have been a confident, happy, know who I am child growing up, and I feel like a lot of my years were wasted, and I was not comfortable with who I was, especially in high school. Like if I could have been one of those, there was only I think like one, maybe two kids that were out in high school growing up for me, like, and that was it. And they were the most bullied, the most, but they didn't care. They were going to be who they were going to be, and I always just admired their bravery to be who they were without caring what people were saying about them, or the names they were getting called and stuff like that. So I admired it, but I definitely admired it secretly and did not outwardly,
right.
Embrace them either. So I'm definitely very guilty.
Well, I think another thing is to, like, even seeing like her parents' response, it's still a realistic response. Like a lot of people that are older, even if they are younger parents, they still didn't come to terms with, or they're still uninformed. I know my parents, like my dad has a Facebook, and accessing that part of these times is new to him. So
even in 2023, because
even
he
in
just got it
2023,
this year, right?
yeah, he just got it this year. And so I'm like seeing my dad post stuff and like my posts and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, a lot of the information that is accessible and current to the times, they still weren't. He's just now seeing that. How long has Facebook been around?
Yeah, I
You
believe
know
I
what I'm
joined
saying?
and it was available before I joined, but I'm pretty sure I joined in like 2008.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh no,
I think
was way
I
before
think
that.
Yeah.
I think I joined maybe 2009, 2010. I was in high school when I joined.
hmm
So yeah.
I think I was going into high school, like from middle school to high school when I
Oh
joined.
gosh, I was in high school, and no, I was transitioning between high school and college,
Mhm.
and when it first came out, my friends were calling it college book
Because
That's
it
what
was for college
what it
books
because
to
it was
begin
only
with.
for college
Yeah,
students.
I remember that.
And that was in 2002.
Oh wow!
So
So you've had yours forever.
yep, same way.
Oh wow.
Yep, check same name,
Everything.
everything. But what I will say is, oh wow, I just realized I had the same
For
Facebook
20
and
years.
with the same name for 20,
Wow. A lot of people
3
don't
years.
can't. Yeah.
21 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. But what I will say is, with the movie, I loved the cinematography. I like that imperfect cinematography of the movie. I love the fact that you get to see kind of the primitive nature of filming at that time.
Yeah.
There was nothing really supernatural about it.
Yeah, it was very direct.
Very direct, and then there was a gradients to
Yeah,
the
to the
pixelation
film.
of the film. I love that.
So
And,
I definitely want to
and
hit
you see
on
that all the time. It reminded me of a vintage American Horror Story type
yeah.
situation. Yeah.
So I definitely want to hit on the aesthetic overall. But before we skip off of the parents, I did have a question for Kirsten.
Yeah.
Because you basically deal with kids, and like you said, you're a behavioral interventionist. And I want to know how your thoughts on the parents in this movie. My question that I wrote down and I asked myself is, do the parents really care if they're sending them off to a camp to change who they are?
I don't think they look at it from fully that perspective. I think in one aspect they do care about their kid, but they also care about the image. And as we all know, that during that time and now, being gay is it's still to some people taboo.
Yeah.
And I'm going to choose to use that word. And so they're like, well, we want the best in their own way.
In their way, yeah.
In their own way, we want the best for our child. We don't want our child to suffer because they are this way. Let's be proactive and pray it away. Like that's where they were ultra religious, mm-hmm. and that goes against everything that they've been taught.
Yeah.
And so they were like, they were probably thinking, what is the church going to say? How does it make us? We don't look like good parents. And if we want to be like good parents, we have to get her
fixed.
That's really the mentality of it. Mm-hmm. And like, and in their own way, they cared, but they were not thinking about how it would make her feel. If anything, they just added fuel to the fire because she wasn't even thinking about that until she got around people that had the same mind. And they unconsciously opened the door.
They opened the door for her because in the beginning when they were talking about sending her there and they had the intervention, mm-hmm. so to speak, that's where we get the title of the movie. Because she's like, but I'm a cheerleader. What do you mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, and then going into that, she realized like, oh wow, I'm actually a lesbian. I did want to come back to what you were talking about, the cinematography on this, specifically aesthetic wise. The movie has not come out yet, but I was getting Barbie Dream House.
Okay.
I was getting Barbie Dream House, like them with like maybe even like 1950s or 60s, like with the vacuums and the Stepford Wives.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes, I was getting those types of influences in the aesthetic of this movie. The girls are pink and the boys are blue.
Even though the boys were very girly,
very flamboyant.
And I can say I'm LGBTQ, so I can say that they were very not girly, but they had femininity. Okay? Yeah. One thing I will say is so off topic. Why are all of the camp counselors, because we've watched 3 movies of conversion camps. I need to know, why are all of the camp counselors at these conversion camps, why are all of them gay? And so in denial. Like, I've never seen an actual like conversion camp movie where the conversion camp people weren't touching on the children.
That's true.
I need to understand that. Tell me if I'm out of line, but I'm just saying.
You're not, but...
We saw 3.
So this movie, I'll speak for this movie. This movie is very satirical. And it would make it kind of funny. Though it's low-key dark humor.
Right.
It's low-key dark humor, but... The camp counselor, they're always with the children. They're always doing things with children. What could happen with the children? Mm-hmm. Because I noticed he was always looking at Rock. Mm-hmm. Just that one particular scene where he was
the guy that was doing the yard work?
Rock.
That was Rock.
I think it was Rock.
Her son.
Yeah,
that was her son.
It was Mary's son.
No, and the counselor who was played by RuPaul
was looking at Rock.
Was literally drooling over Rock, and then he got mad at Rock.
But Rock was not a child. He's one of the counselors.
I mean, he's grown. Yeah. He's grown. But like, I was thinking of a totally different movie, and they were adults. Yeah, they weren't minors. But I'm just saying. To me, they're kids.
No, I mean,
I'm almost 40, so.
The thing about that type of situation, and it's definitely wrong, and it needs to be corrected in Hollywood altogether. But Hollywood loves a teacher-student romance.
Oh yeah,
they love a camp counselor getting with it, but they're teenagers and they're played by 28-year-olds. So you know what I'm saying? So that it makes it okay, but it's we all know it's not okay. Like if your daughter who's 16 is messing with a 30-year-old camp counselor, there's going to be some problems.
There's going to be some problems.
But
definitely,
but in Hollywood seems to they do glorify that, and especially in the 90s. Most 90s movies, you got the younger girl and the older, clueless. I mean, and that was even her stepbrother, but he was way older than her. He was like into stocks and bonds and. The new he was telling her to watch the news and it's cool for people to watch the news in other parts of the world, you know. And then but she was in high school.
Yeah.
What what do you see in that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
There's nothing that you can get out of that relationship. So
Well, I'll say this much. She definitely found her happy place at the camp and came to grips with who she was at the camp. I feel like everybody else in the movie kind of already knew, except for the counselors, that they were gay. Like the boys, they were. Was there a scene they were making out or messing around?
They were. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, they were messing around.
And she caught them.
She caught them and fell on them or something.
And she ratted them out too.
Mm-hmm. She ratted them out. I just thought that was weird.
Well, I think that's another. I mean, that's another good topic to get into, where you can be gay and be homophobic because she. I mean, to me, she was kind of disgusted by the fact that the two guys were making out, even though she's a lesbian.
She was disgusted by the fact that she was gay. Internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
2 words.
Yeah.
That really kind of define a lot of what we see. I mean, we even see politicians and individuals now in 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see them as homosexuals, as individuals who have been caught on Grindr and whatever else.
Oh yeah.
And they are actively voting against LGBTQ rights.
Oh, yeah.
So in 2000, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to come home and tell my parents in 2001 or whenever this movie was created, 2000 that I was gay, it would have been an issue because my dad already had issues with the guys that I ran track with.
Mm.
He was already telling me like, hey, you don't need to hang out with that person. They saw you at the mall with these people. I thought you had to work. What were you doing at the mall with this person? Mm-hmm. So I hated that. And more importantly, I couldn't identify it within myself. But at the same time, I could see it that I was kind of gravitating toward we're on the track. I should be focused on my event. Mm-hmm. But I got to see the 4x1 so I can see the men's thighs and how they run, how they jump.
And your dad knew.
Yeah.
And he knew
because the guys I hung out with, they were high performers on the track team, but
definitely, like obviously.
Like
obviously.
Before men were getting like you know, fake hair putting in, they already had like fake twisting and stuff like.
Oh wow.
Makeup and arching their eyebrows and stuff. So he was like, you know, so this girl being on the even more conservative side, I can see how number one, she's dealing with internalized homophobia, and then number 2, she's dealing with homophobia from her parents and from the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. But I mean, you know, it's crazy though too. I couldn't identify what part of the world it was from, but it seemed like it was more in the South too.
Yeah,
and I think that
it seemed suburban South, like
suburban Midwest
or Midwest. Yeah, it may have told us, but I don't recall.
It's not urban.
No, not at all.
It's not city.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost rural.
Yeah,
almost, but very suburban. Everybody know everybody in the community.
Football town.
Yeah. Conservative.
Teachers out back smoking cigarettes.
Religious. At least her immediate family.
Okay.
It's very ultra conservative, religious.
Yeah.
And I think you made a point about your father. Your father saw it where you did.
Oh, that does make a good point.
Her family saw
something.
And that happens in a lot of families. They're able to see it before you're a kid.
Oh yeah.
And even with today's society, it depends on the type of kid. Kids are exposed to a lot of stuff, which will help them to cultivate their own ideas and their own opinions about things now because they have the ability to see it and then ascertain, well, how do I feel about this, instead of their parents telling you this is that, which will ultimately happen until they become of age where they're like, I have my own brain.
Mm-hmm. I
can make my own decisions. But your parents saw something. Your dad saw something.
Mm-hmm.
Her parents saw that,
yeah.
and she was going on like, you know what? Well, I'm still, I'm dating the job. I'm kissing him. I don't really like it. And I'm thinking about boobs. But I mean, I'm a cheerleader. It always come out, I'm a cheerleader. Like,
Yeah.
I got to think about the positioning. And like, there was always a reason for how she thought. That one of the first things I noticed in the movie is when she opens her locker, it's a picture of this beautiful woman. And I'm just like, yeah. People can see that.
Yeah.
People probably, everybody but her, because she was like, well, I like this person.
And like I said, for the time, it is so believable.
Yeah.
It's so believable because, I mean, what are the identifiers? Just random off stuff that is divergent from the rest of society. So when everybody goes out to eat, they get food with protein heavy meals, and you get a salad with no meat or eggs or cheese.
Everybody's looking at you sideways.
Is something wrong with you?
Yeah. That's immediately what's going to happen. And they start, and during this time, certain things equated to that community, and so they immediately.
Oh, who was the singer she liked?
Oh God,
that was like a big indicator.
I can't remember.
Etheridge, Melissa.
Yeah.
Was that the name? Was that the? I don't know.
I can't remember. I thought she was the
actor.
I don't remember. It was somebody.
Actor.
It was somebody like that though. That she liked, and it was like.
I'm just saying, like.
Like it gave it away.
Like you say, lesbian now. There's not a look.
It could be.
There's
anything.
no look.
No.
I mean, you say gay now. There's not a look.
There's not a look.
So a couple more points that I just kind of wanted to hit on, briefly, is, and I've thought about this a lot, and I don't even know how to explain why this has come to my mind a lot, but so lesbians get their own name in the gay community. Right. Have you noticed that? So they're gay, but they're called lesbians. There's not a name for gay men. Well, besides slurs, which they used a lot of in this movie, by the way. That was another point that we can just brush on past. The F word was used a lot.
Oh, they use that word?
Yeah. And then, but also, and a new term that I just learned, which I don't know why it's new to me, but sapphic. A sapphic woman is like a woman with lesbian tendencies. But so they have a name, and I wonder what that's all about. We don't have a name. Well, gay men don't have a name other than gay men.
I think, in relevance to the movie, that's definitely one of the things that needs to be addressed, because prior to more recent times, even having a conversation about being gay was taboo.
Yeah.
So it's like now you see a guy, and I've had it happen on my job. I've had it happen several times, especially this last job, going back to Anderson, where people knew of me but didn't know me. Mm-hmm. They would say, talk to me. Blah, blah, blah. I never once said that I was gay or LGBT. I never. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what I did say. I would say my partner.
Mm. And partner is equated, like, for the most part.
But then I've heard conservative religious people get up in a religious setting and say, I'm so grateful for having such an amazing life partner. Mm-hmm. And it's an older woman in her 60s talking about her husband that she's been with for 40 years.
Mm-hmm. But then they start off, they might say life partner a couple times, but eventually they reference wife, husband, love of my life. They don't just end it at life partner.
That's true. They always come
back to the other form.
Because usually they're introducing that person, and then the guy will get up and be like, my wife. Or just like in life, people like to drop wife, husband. There was even a guy that I worked with, and he wanted to always let us know about his husband. Every conversation led to something his husband said or did. Husband. Yeah. And we knew him by name, but he never wanted to say his name. He always said my husband. So instead of saying Jeff or Mike or Carl, you want to say husband.
Well, I'm not gonna lie.
Husband.
I have a tendency when I'm referring to you, like at work or anywhere, I just say bae.
Yeah.
I say this.
I say so bae has a flat tire. And then I have to leave, or bae has
they'll be like,
bae has something come up. Yeah. And then they say, how's bae going?
Because that's the term that you give them, and so that's what people associate.
But I don't call him bae. I don't call him bae to him. We say babe.
We say babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, babe. Babe.
I say babe, and the dog knows that you're like outside.
Yeah, I'm outside.
I'll be like,
daddy.
I'll be like, babe's here, and he's like,
I'll be like, Dad, is that daddy?
Yeah. Looking up
years ago.
So, the last couple of things I wanted to talk about the movie specifically is, this one wasn't really relevant, but them sneaking in from the club at the last minute and getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
So that was so unrealistic to me. Like, they come in at the very last minute, and then she wakes up, she hears something, and she goes and looks, and they're all in the bed. I was like, come on now. I mean, it is very 90s movie.
It's satirical.
It's Go ahead.
I got my hand raised. So, having gone to a Southern Baptist University, where I lived in the dorms from my freshman year until my senior year, I have seen that, and I have been in that situation. I have been in the situation where it's 11:30, everyone's leaving campus to go somewhere in town, right, where they know they'll let people in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want to go. And then I get up, I throw something on, and then I go.
Yeah. And
then I went, and when I got there, I'm getting messages from, because I was an RA in school, so I'm getting, so I saw that part and I was like, oh, that's so realistic. The whole getting caught right when you get there,
or not getting caught because you got there right before.
I would always get caught. Like, I don't know how. It was just like everybody knew to hurry up and leave early and get there, and I would get there later. Or there was a couple of times where I wasn't there, but I was just going to pick people up. Kind of be like the DD. I was on campus, and I would go pick people up as the DD. And when I would get there, there would be like the deans outside, and my aunt was a dean. So like I would be like, "Whoa, like what are they doing outside with notebooks and writing people's names down?"
They're taking note.
They're taking note of who's going to the club, and I'm like, "Oh God!" And then you have like
they're gonna address
the young
it later.
Club here. You have like the older, mature club in the back, you know, for the like 40 and older, and then you've got like a couple of like shady spots and bars, and then you've got like the gay lesbian club in the back, right? And it's like I can't even drive into the parking lot because I see them sitting there, and I'm like, and I'm spinning around trying to figure out how to get to the other entrance without them seeing me. You know, because I don't want them. Number one, I don't want them to see me going to the club, and then number two, I don't want them to see me going to the gay one. Because there's like 5 to choose from. So it's just like, I was like, oh, gosh. I mean, it goes back to not even so much like conservative versus like more free-spirited or new age or whatever. It goes literally back to individuals being allotted human rights to be who they are.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying. And so that's how I feel about it.
I think the overall message of the movie was to let you know that it's okay to be who you are. You may have to go through some crazy things to figure that out. And everybody's story is different, which is why every character gave a different perspective on gay people. Like even the guys, they were all very different. The women were all very different. I believe that the one character, I'm horrible at remembering the names, but
me too.
The one character that was presented as female would more than likely have been now either trans or non-binary if it were in 2023. So I think that they were pretty ahead of their time in that aspect. I do have a question for y'all about it though, but we're going to wrap up soon. But how do y'all feel? Because how do y'all feel about non-gay actors playing gay roles? Because Natasha Lyonne is not gay. She is not a lesbian. Surprisingly, because she plays lesbian in Orange is the New Black too.
Being of the heterosexual world, I find it, depending on, for the most part, I can find it a bit insensitive, and I don't think that's their intention. But and not every role that a person takes or performs will be one that where they've experienced or can connect in some form of manner. But I think depending on the role, it would behoove the director or the cast to be of that. What's the word I'm looking for? That background. Especially during that time.
Yeah, I will say that time was very different.
Unfair.
Yeah.
Very unfair. Very unfair during that time. Especially since some people couldn't really come out during that time.
That's true.
And so it almost reminds me, if I can give an example. I think his name is Harry
Styles?
Yes. He's giving off very feminine vibes. He's plaguing on the community.
Wait,
I don't like it.
Well, okay,
current Harry.
Wait, hold up.
I don't like it. What was that award show? And I think
which award show?
I'm trying to figure it out.
So I will.
I'm not trying to go into detail.
I don't want to interrupt you about it, but I will say with Harry Styles, I don't know that he's ever denounced bisexuality or
he claimed it.
But see, that's the thing. Do you have to out yourself for the benefit of others?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we don't know. He's never said he's. I don't believe that he's ever said he's gay.
I retract myself.
No. It's okay because you make a valid point. Because there are people who do that, and they will not claim homosexuality, but they will also and I don't know. I mean, I feel like not claiming it, but presenting yourself like it is just as bad as gay bait. I guess they call it gay baiting.
I get, yeah, and because I think I took it as some of the outfits or some of the things that he was doing. I'm just like,
yeah.
What are we doing here?
That's a rabbit hole because then it goes to how much of it did he control? Because
True.
He's a big name.
He's a pop star.
A lot of big names are controlled by publicity people, corporations, record labels, and all of that.
And then and then if we take it even a step further, he's not the first to do it.
Yeah, he's not the first to do
Prince.
True.
No, that was who he was.
But he never outwardly said I'm a gay, homosexual, bisexual.
Prince is different.
Okay.
Prince is different.
But in
Prince
one
is
light, and I agree.
I'm sorry, but Prince is different.
But I agree. But in one light, because wasn't one of his most famous lines is I could stand with my ass out and still take your woman.
Yeah. But you have to understand though, Prince was different. Look at the kid pictures of him.
Someone could say
the little boy pictures.
They could say the same
thing.
But no, look at Harry Styles.
Okay.
Harry Styles.
I get what you're saying.
I definitely get. I get what you're saying too.
Okay.
But that's going back to what I was telling you.
Harry Styles
if
look
you've
at
never
the development of Harry Styles,
yeah.
He was a typical guy.
Yeah.
But in the same breath that you just said, he was also being controlled by record labels and all of that. So maybe he was made to be a typical guy. Mm-hmm. We really never know. So I think that's why it's important not to quickly jump to conclusions or judge or, you know what I'm saying? But as far as the question goes, which you didn't answer, how do you feel about heterosexual people playing?
Well, we just talked about this yesterday. I personally, we just watched the movie where there was a straight man that is a breakthrough actor, and he was playing a gay man, and he was the only representation of LGBTQ in a group of friends that were all heterosexual, and so, or presented heterosexual in a sense, because we know that heterosexuality is heterosexuality. However, there's no spectrum of heterosexuality, but they're saying that now there's a spectrum to accommodate for all different types of people for LGBTQ IA plus. Right. Mm-hmm. So that is something too. Is there a?
I think
there's no spectrum.
There's
no spectrum of heterosexuality. I think there is one for.
I think the whole thing is just a spectrum.
I think sexuality in general.
I think it's fair to say that sexuality in general is considered to be on a spectrum, because within technically heterosexuality, there are, I won't use the word levels, but there's different parts of it.
Yeah.
Different,
because it
may not look like the LGBTQI plus.
Because there's heterosexual people who will entertain trans people who are the gender that they claim
So
to
let's
be.
go back to the movie. I was gonna say, going back to the movie.
Yeah.
Going back to the movie, there was someone in the movie that in 2023 we would call.
That's what I said. Yeah, trans.
You said that,
or non-binary,
or non-binary
at the least,
non-gender conforming.
Non-gender conforming, yeah.
Right. So, knowing that now, most of them lean towards individuals or attracted to individuals who are what, like a majority percentage of them.
Right. So, if that character today was trans, and he liked women, he would be straight. He would be straight. He would be heterosexual.
Right.
So that's why there is a spectrum to heterosexuality.
Right.
So
which
is why
I feel like it's okay, and they've been doing it forever in the music industry, but that's a whole different other thing. In this movie, there was at least 2 actors that were playing gay that are straight.
Yeah.
But when you look at the music industry and the biggest concerts, names, videos, etc., I'm like, he was at Pride in Atlanta in 2011. So when you say, it's not in a negative way. I know that's how I come across, but when you look at him, and we've said that, I'm like, ooh, babe, look, he was, I've seen him before at the club, or one time we was down in Atlanta, and he was dancing up on this dude, and they be on concert stages with people like big names. I'm not dropping any names. I'm just saying big names.
Yeah.
And people in Atlanta know who they are. People in Charlotte know who they are, and they're big names. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. As far as that goes, I think it's okay as long as you are respectful of the community when you represent them. The thing I hate is when in the 90s and early 2000s was great for this too. They did a lot. Is when the villain is trans, or the villain is the gay person, and Disney is very good at that as well. Their villains are all very gay coded. Jafar, Scar, they're all very gay coded.
And I love all of them. Those are my favorites.
But I mean, I don't know. There's just something about villainizing the
if you ask me, Scar was gay.
Community.
Scar was gay.
Oh, what's his name from Anastasia? Rasputin.
Yeah.
There was a few phrases. If you go back and watch that movie, you'd be like, "Oh my god!"
Scar. Let's go back to. I don't know. I think because I want to be him.
Scar and Jafar really.
And he was very cunty.
He was a gunkle. Scar was a gunkle.
He got his nails done. You know what I'm saying? He used to primp his hair was all swooped.
He was not a fighter.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Because he got his ass beat. I'm sorry. Can we cuss on this podcast?
We can. It's labeled
Scar
explicit.
got his ass beat. All right. But I don't know. Like, even looking at this movie, I just feel a certain type of way. I just feel like it's so crazy that we have all these issues with homosexuality in the 2000s, but the entire music industry, the acting industry, Hollywood in general, in 2000 was run by a bunch of gays. Even now, one of the most major TV networks, I can't say it because it's about to get bought out by somebody, or that got bought out by someone.
By them.
By them. They bought themselves out and said, okay, well, we already run this, so let me just come in and just buy it and take it over. The gays run everything in Hollywood. And so it's just like, I feel like, I don't know, it's just weird because this has been around since forever. We can trace same gender loving spectrums of you know, same gender loving situations. We can trace it going back to the beginning of time. So I don't know. It's just weird that the identifiers at this time were things like being vegetarian. I told my parents that me and Brandon were being vegetarians. Like I said, well, we haven't ate meat in a couple of days other than byproducts, and they looked at me like, what in the world is wrong with you? They were like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, no, we do that.
That plate you brought home from
their
house was nothing but meat. It was delicious. Steak. It was steak, wings, sausage, burger, hot dogs. I was like, oh my God, it was delicious. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but there was not a vegetable inside.
But babe, I felt like shit.
And see, it is crazy.
I felt terrible.
Oh Lord.
I saw steak, pork ribs.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
grilled chicken, ribs, chicken, fried fish. It was all protein, and then the vegetables were grilled corn.
Oh yeah,
and baked beans.
There was some grilled corn and baked beans.
But like the idea of like, I've never known that or equated that to.
I think it was a very early 2000s thing.
And I was very much a kid then.
I was too, yeah.
But like, I think, because I'll say it like this: my mom has questioned me before. I just want to let everybody know I like dick.
Oh my God!
And I'm very much heterosexual. I love my men. I'm good. I couldn't be with another woman who got titties. I'm not good with that. So that's just that. But that's me. But my mom, when she because I hadn't been dating anybody in a while, when she questioned it, her response was, or the reason why she questioned it was, she's like, well, you haven't been dating anybody, and you've been hanging around a lot of people who are of that community. And I was just like, I have friends there. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, do you think it's going to catch? And she's like, no, it's not that. She's like, but usually people that are like that, they hang around the same type of people. Yeah. And I was like, no, because sometimes the gay ones are hanging around the straight ones. Yeah. And then I was like, I get her mentality. Yeah. And she's like, you know, you're hanging around with a lot of girls. And I was like, what?
Girls hang out with girls.
I was like, you didn't say this when I was in middle school when all I hang out was girls. Right. I was like, as soon as I get some men friends in my life, then you start to question it. And she was like, okay, never mind. So, but for me, that wasn't an indicator at all. Vegetarianism, I get that it's probably a very early, as you said, 2000. I don't even want to use the word indicator because it's not really.
I don't think it was. I think it was very stereotypical.
Yeah,
stereotypically used.
Yeah.
There were some others, and it was like the music taste and stuff like that. So I mean, the vegetarian thing is kind of a weird indicator.
Very weird.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they were saying stuff like, I mean, there was a couple of indicators that I caught in the movie, and I was just kind of like, this is so weird. Yeah. Like, why are they saying that's a reason why, da-da-da-da-da, and even the stuff that the activities, like trying to toughen them up and stuff. And then, but like, I go back to my original statement, beginning of this podcast, I said, why are all of the camp counselors so gay?
Yeah,
they all were so
I think
gay.
It's the idea that I did it, so you can too.
Yeah.
I did it, so you can too.
It's very much.
You didn't do it.
In the movie, it's very much like I overcame this, but it's very clear that I can see your
I can tell, like,
you're struggling
like
with
RuPaul's character, like, lusting over that man's crotch when he was under that car.
First scene,
Like,
he's in there for the, like, letting her know about this camp, and I'm like, man, you ain't, don't do that. It looks like you ain't all the way. You ain't
right.
This
because
program.
I think the point is, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
You're gay. Like, it's not possible to reform. I'm sorry to those who have reformed.
I'm sorry to this man, like Kiki Palmer said. I'm sorry to this man.
I seen him in the street.
I wouldn't know who he was.
But yeah, it's not possible, and that's the point of the movie. But I will say, I enjoyed the movie. Would you guys watch it again?
I think I would to make, because I feel like there were some things that like genuinely went over my head, and just kind of get a better look at it, because I like the movie.
I love the aesthetic of the movie for sure.
I did too.
I was definitely laughing.
Yeah,
in a few different parts, and I can see why it's a cult classic. It's very the aesthetic, the cinematography, the gayness. You know, I definitely enjoyed the gayness.
Don't ask me how
of
many times I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think I've seen it like 10 times.
Yeah, I mean those movies that are good like that, you just can't help but watch them over and over again. But I think that you know, this was a good first episode.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed you guys joining me today and watching this movie, eating this meal. You can catch us every week. We're going to be tackling a different movie and a different meal. If you like what you listen to, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow along. Leave recommendations on movies that you think that we should watch. Bye, guys.